26-year-old Tyrone Smith is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old Christy Bruffett, for lying about the paternity of her child. Tyrone claims Christy told him that he was the father.
All rise.
Very well, so we
He totaled the car, and you're making payments on it, on the loan.
That's correct.
Now, you want him to take over those payments. That's what the case is about, right?
yes, about paying his truck payments.
Right. They co-signed the car, and you're going to convince me, sir, why I should believe that you only agreed to make the payments for the first year.
Yes, I am.
And I tell you, I am all ears.
Okay, first, my parents flew into Tennessee from Texas, and he asked me, did we want to go out and look at trucks? Because my car seat wouldn't fit in my car, really, for my child, and his golf clubs wouldn't fit in there. So anyway, we go to look at cars, and he's saying he likes this truck and asks me if I like it. And I say, yeah, I like it, you know. And he's telling me how I need a truck for my car seat, for his golf clubs, for when they come into town, they can drive it, and I could drive it while they weren't in town.
Keep going. Come on.
That's
Let's
it.
go.
I paid the first year's payments. I had money saved up from income taxes, and I told him I could make the first year's payment, and he said, don't worry about it, we'll make the rest.
How many vehicles do you have?
2.
One for you and one for?
Them.
One for them.
Yeah, the wrecked one.
Oh, we're not talking about the truck. How many vehicles did you have at the time that you were making the payments?
I had one before the truck, including the truck, too.
And what did you do with the second one?
I sold it so I could put the money down for the truck.
Good. And did you put the money down for the truck?
Yes, I did.
How much?
$1,000.
Were you supposed to keep the insurance on the truck?
Yes, I was.
Did you do that?
No,
Why not?
because I canceled it about 3 weeks before I had the accident.
Why?
Because I had bought a new house, and I'd rather have my house than my truck, so I can at least sleep in it.
Well, that was ridiculous. You don't drive a car without insurance. What would happen if you hit somebody and really hurt them?
I would be in trouble.
Right. And what do you think's going to happen to you today because you didn't have insurance?
I don't know. I guess that's up to you.
You're right.
So we have pictures of the truck. We also have a copy of the loan agreement and then where we paid the truck payments from our checking, if you would like to see any of those.
I also have some evidence also. They had co-signed for the car that I had sold. That's what I had told him. That car ran fine. I didn't need another vehicle, but...
You just told me that the car seat for your baby didn't fit in your car.
It did. He said it didn't fit good
No,
enough.
you told me it didn't fit.
It fit. I mean, we had to drive him around for a few months before then, so he had to fit somehow.
Not necessarily.
Well, you think we rode down the road with him in our lap?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Your Honor, that was casual conversation when we came in to visit into town. We were going somewhere, and he was struggling to get the car seat in the car. And that's when I said, wow, you just need to go get a new vehicle. You know, I recommended getting a truck with an extended cab as well so that it could put the baby seat in and out of the truck easily.
Who did you hit in this truck?
A pile of rocks.
Were you drunk?
No.
Did you fall asleep?
No. It's the first time I had been down this road and we were going to where we live.
Well, a pile of rocks doesn't move, sir. This is a lot of damage to do on the car.
It was summer and the trees were sprung out, obviously. And they have a stop sign, ahead sign, and it's only about 3 feet before the stop sign. With the trees bloomed out, you couldn't really see it at nighttime. So I went to stop and...
So whose fault do you think that is?
Mine. I have the car anyway, like I was saying, that I had before. They co-signed for it. I paid every payment on it. I had 1-year lease, and I paid it off in 10 months.
Well, sure. You know why? Because you still have it.
Why would I not pay the truck if...
Because of something that you just told me, sir, which was that you wrecked it. And you wrecked it at a time when you had no insurance on it, and you didn't have insurance on it because you chose to put money into your house rather than pay your car insurance. That's why you didn't pay them. That's the difference. Got to just answer your question?
No.
Well, I think I answered it. You may not like the answer, but I answered it.
That's not why I didn't pay the payments. I did not pay the payments because I was only supposed to pay 1 year, and that's what
No, did you make any payments, sir, after you totaled the truck?
No, I didn't, because my
Did you make payments before you totaled the truck?
Yes, I did. But it was 1 year, and it had just so happened that...
You mean
when
just
that 1 year...
serendipitously, you wrecked the truck on the first-year anniversary. That was serendipitous.
It was a month after. It was a month after he wrecked it. And, Your Honor, for that month of May, which made it up to a year, he didn't make that payment either. He was having a hard time at home with his family, They weren't getting along too well.
Why weren't you getting along too well with your family?
Because we were pinched for money. That's why I had to cancel my insurance. We wasn't making bills. We were stressed out.
Well, that's unfortunate. Did you buy a house that was too much for you?
No, I did not. I bought a truck that was too much for me for 1 year, I guess, and didn't pay the insurance.
No, because if you were stressed out, then you're stressed out over more than just a truck payment.
Exactly.
Then what you do is say, listen, I have to sell this truck, and I have to buy transportation because we need transportation, but I can't afford this truck. You don't just stop paying. Does your wife work?
Yes, she does.
And you work?
Yes, I do.
How much do you earn?
$390 a week.
And your wife?
She earns $500 a week.
And your mortgage payment?
Zero. $350. We rent now. We sold that house.
Did you make a profit when you sold it?
Yes, I did.
And didn't pay a payment then either.
I bought a
Got his
new
tax
vehicle.
check, not a new vehicle,
Well,
$1,400.
Listen, there's no
16.
question in my mind that it was very difficult for you to come here to sue him. How much did you have to pay on the truck?
We paid approximately up to $6,000. The first year from May of 05 to 06, we made payments on the truck every month. He had called
When
us
did he total the truck?
in June of 05.
So where have you been the last 2 years?
Well, it's kind of hard. I mean, you know, you love your children and you want what's best for them and you try to help them. And we had told him a couple times down the road, you know, when we felt like him and Susie were getting their lives together, that, hey, don't worry about paying us what you owe us on the truck. Just start paying the payments now, and we'll wipe the slate clean if you start paying the payments. And we've done that a couple of times for him.
4.
And he always says that he'll pay, and then when that month rolls around, he doesn't. So, and it's hard for a parent to take their child.
I don't say that. I never said I'd pay a payment after that year.
Oh, sure you did. It's ridiculous to
I
think
did not say
otherwise.
that.
Ridiculous to say otherwise. So the total amount of the payments were $13,263. Is that right? And he paid a year's worth.
He paid a year's worth.
And that's
well, just
from
short of
04.
1
I
month.
got right here what I paid.
It was
Where is
actually
the
11
truck?
months.
Where is the truck now? It was totaled?
It's sitting in my sister's driveway.
Where did you get this figure of $3,696 from?
Well, this is why, Your Honor. From May of 05, when we started making the payments, he called us at the end of May and said, look, I'm not going to be able to make May's payment. And we said, all right, we'll help you out. By the time it was ready to make that payment, June had rolled in, and we said, okay, we'll make June for you as well. So there was 2 months, because we know they were struggling a little bit. And shortly after, he wrecked his truck. He totaled it. You know, he told us a few days later that he totaled it and that he had been drinking, so.
I want to know where you get the $3,696. Get there. Well, get there faster.
Okay.
It's $221.05 a month. There were a few months that he said that he was going to make the payment, did not make the payment, so
It's not
there's late
true.
fees and things like that added on to that. So from the time that he wrecked the truck, which was June...
June of 05.
05.
Yes, ma'am.
It was July 1st.
And it may be in July 1st. The end of June, maybe July 1st. But
Go ahead.
So anyways, from that point on, Your Honor,
Okay.
that's where we came up with the figure from.
Got it.
I
Can
have
see
all
proof
my
that you've made-
paperwork for the payments. I was only supposed to make 1 year's payment. I have them, and I have the paperwork where they co-signed before, and I made every payment and even paid it
I
off
believe
2
you made
months
every
ago.
payment. You also have the car.
I
Stop
don't have the
making-
car. It's sold.
What you gave me here is the payments from your bank to West State Farm Bank. Is that where the truck was
Yes,
financed?
State
Yes.
Farm.
Very good. Listen, don't co-sign for anybody anymore, even your kid.
Yeah, this is our second time.
Huh?
This is
This is our
our
second
oldest daughter got us as well.
They probably made the same deal with her.
There's no deals. It's just trying to help your children.
Don't take advantage of your parents. They seem like very nice people.
I'm not taking advantage
Yeah,
of it.
judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,696. That's all. Step out.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I probably caused problems between us.
I think it's been a huge rift, but I'm hoping now that everything's settled through court that we can put it behind us and move on.
Hope everything is better, you know.
I'm relieved that it's all over.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Durlow versus Barrett. Step forward, please.
Paxton Durlow is suing tattoo artist Breezy Barrett for breach of contract on the bartering of a vehicle. Paxton says Breezy was supposed to tattoo him in exchange for a truck.
Mr. Durlow, you had a truck, and you traded your truck for services to be performed by the defendant, who's a tattoo artist. She paid some in cash for the truck, is that right? Correct. And the remainder was to be worked off in this barter arrangement. Is that right?
There was also a bike included in the deal as well. A
That
dirt
you
bike.
got?
Yes, correct.
Your claim is that Miss Barrett did half of the tattoo and then modified the agreement that you had to complete the tattoo by telling you that you could only come for your appointments between 9 and 12 at a time when you work, for requiring that you go to somebody else to have the tattoo finished.
Correct.
That's what you want to pay for, plus some harassment nonsense. Everybody's been harassed. You know who's most harassed here?
You.
And Ms. Berendt says that you caused her to lose business because what you did was you kept canceling appointments, and in addition to that, you sexually harassed her, so she's counterclaiming. When did you make this deal with the truck?
I'm not exact on the dates at all. I mean, I have the contract, I guess, in here. So
Okay, so let me have the
if I can-
contract, please. Okay, so the sales agreement requires that the tattoo is to be completed in 2-hour sessions, no more than 3 weeks apart, unless otherwise agreed to by the parties, and that's dated 7/21/06, correct? Correct.
Yes.
When did you start the tattoo?
I was already in the middle of tattoos. This deal came on after I was already getting work from her.
So when you were supposed to start it in 2-hour sessions, according to the agreement.
Yes, that would have been starting that date.
So what happened?
Well, the appointments were going well. Then I would get an occasional push. She would ask me if I could come in on a different day because there was a person that absolutely had to have that appointment. And it was a way for her to make money and that she was a sole provider for her home. So I agreed. And then it became redundant. And then
what?
I didn't agree any further. It started getting to where I couldn't get anything done.
Did you ever cancel appointments yourself?
The last time that I had an appointment to go to was one I canceled.
How many times did she change your appointment?
I believe 4 times, maybe even more.
And it was always because she had a paying customer?
A paying customer or something came up. She did have a mother who was terminally ill, which I fully understood. And she also changed appointments there, too, which I did not consider in the claim.
Okay. When did she tell you about this business of only coming in the morning?
After a discussion of me not getting anything done, the whole conversation was via text, and I have it, if you'd like
I'd like
to
to see it.
Would you like to see pictures of the truck as well?
No.
Okay.
Not necessary. Breezy, you're Breezy, right?
Yes.
Here's your problem. It is clear to me that the two of you have a dispute in these text messages with regard to whose fault it was, etc. You know, clearly you were not yourself as a result of your mother's illness, because that's clear from these emails, and that there were certain stresses in your life. But when you say to him, in the future, you shouldn't off your artist until after the work is done, would be enough for me to say that you breached this contract and I wouldn't let you do any work on me. That's a threat. I mean, I don't know anything about tattoos except that I've seen them. They're done with needles, right?
Correct.
I wouldn't let anybody near me with a needle who said to me I wouldn't take any action until after it was all done and I was happy. You want to say anything to me?
I would love to.
Go ahead.
After 6 months of tattooing on him, I canceled 2 appointments.
Well, that's too many.
One being I'm a sole provider of my children. I only work 5 hours a day because I have preschool pickup, drop-off, daycare closes.
Whatever. Listen,
Okay.
he's not your mother. He's not your
No,
sister.
he's
not
not.
your brother.
He was a friend.
Just a second. You canceled 2 appointments. Not tragic.
My second appointment I canceled was because his appointment was 2 days after my mother died.
You canceled the 2 appointments.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm not making
So
a big
he
deal out of it.
called and made 4 appointments, 2 weeks, 2 hours back to back. No showed on every one of them. I only work 5 hours a day.
Show
you
me.
no show.
Show
It's
me.
right
He
here.
says that that's not true.
Right here.
It's in pencil, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter if it's in pencil.
Let me take a look at it.
That's my appointment book. Here's my apprentice who helps make all my appointments.
Do you remember independently making these appointments?
She wasn't there
Stop.
at that time.
Just a second. Just answer my question. Do you remember independently making these appointments? Yes or no?
During that point in time.
Just answer my
no.
question. Fine. Thank you. I want you to give me the date of the first appointment. Would you give that book back to her, please? Give me the date of the first appointment you say he missed.
Monday, January 15th.
What was the next one?
1/19/07.
Well, that's not 2 weeks apart.
No, he called after no showing and said, sorry, can you get me in? So I did. I slid him in.
Okay, well, that's not 2 weeks apart. First, you told me he made appointments 2 weeks apart over a month and didn't appear. So now it's 1/15/07.
Okay.
Then Then you said he called you and said, I'm sorry, could you fit me in? You made it for 1/19/07, and then you say he didn't show up.
Then he had February 4th.
Go ahead.
Then he had February 16th.
Can you show me, Ms. Berendt, anywhere in these text messages where you say that he missed appointments on the 15th, the 19th, or February 4th, which is why you decided to change the rule, because you have a lot of emails going back and forth, a lot of bad language going back and, well, from your end. But there isn't, according to what I see here, one place where you wrote in your email that he missed appointments on January 15th, January 19th, or February 4th. And all of these text messages were written on February 6th. Not one place do you talk about 3 missed appointments.
Those are his text messages.
Show me yours.
That phone was dropped in the toilet.
Oh.
But he could easily have left off the first 4 emails for you.
He could have.
No.
And your phone maybe could have been dried off from the toilet. You have to take care of the rest of his tattoo. That was your contract with him.
I never had a problem with that,
That
ever.
was your contract. How much will it cost to finish the tattoo?
It's an estimate because, I mean...
How much is the estimate?
I have it right here if you'd like to see it. He believes it to be between $1,440 and $1,800.
Can I see, please?
It depends on the work.
Where is it? Is it on your arm?
It's on both arms. And
Got it.
There's not more than $600 left there.
Well, then you should have done it yourself.
I would love to.
Well, you can't because you threatened him. Okay. Now, you also don't mention anywhere the sexual harassment that you talk about. You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, the entire time I worked on him, it was fondling me, grabbing on me. I leave my wife for you the whole time. That's
well,
why she's
good.
here.
Okay. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. The counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
What is our excuse? You may...
Peterson is suing her mother-in-law, Rose Marmoleo, for making a false report to Child Protective Services. Kim claims Rose accused her of child endangerment.
All rise. It's case number 41 on the calendar in the matter of Peterson versus Marmolejo. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Peterson, the defendant is your former mother-in-law.
Correct.
You were married to her son for how long?
6 years.
And he, according to what I've read, died suddenly.
Yes.
When did he pass away?
July 5th, 2005.
And what was the cause of death?
It's a cerebral hemorrhage, but the cause of that, the underlying cause was drug abuse.
No, it was not. I have a copy
it,
of
Your
that,
Honor.
Your Honor.
I wasn't asking you anything.
I understand.
It is your claim that the defendant called in a report to Child Protective Services
Yes.
against you. It was false,
Yes.
and you want to be compensated.
Correct.
The defendant says that she never placed that call, and you seem to indicate that you are going to be able to prove to me that
Yes.
she did. She also complains that she no longer sees her grandson, despite the fact that there was a time when she did see him regularly. Okay. When did you find out that a call was placed to Child Protective Services?
It was March of 2007, March 1st, actually. It was called in 228.
22807.
Yes.
And how did you find out that this call was placed?
The worker put the note in my doorway.
And asked you to call?
Yes.
And you did?
Yes.
Was there an investigation?
Yes.
Do you have the results of that investigation?
Yes, I do. Unsubstantiated.
Now, Ms. Marmoleo, you did not call Child Protective Services?
Absolutely not, Your Honor.
Okay, and you know nothing about how Child Protective Services was contacted?
Yes, I do. Patrick called me.
Just a second.
Okay.
Patrick is your grandson?
No, Patrick is witness on Kim's side.
Who is this?
That's my boyfriend.
Okay. The boyfriend called you and?
And told me, forget taking Dante to school tomorrow. He said, we have a DCF appointment. He said, you and one of your old cronies probably called DCF. I knew nothing about it, so help me God. I went to school the next day.
What are you doing at child's school?
I have volunteered at all the schools for many, many years, besides my work.
Okay, go ahead.
So I went to school to see the principal, and I asked her, I said, what's the situation? I heard from
You cannot
Patrick.
tell me what the principal told you.
All right. She said...
You can't... What words
I'm
did you
sorry.
understand? You cannot tell me what the
All
principal
right.
said to you.
I found out that the school
You can't
called.
tell me what you found out.
That's how I found
hearsay.
out, though. I did not
Okay.
call.
You did not call.
I did email.
You did not, just a second. You did not call, is
No,
what
I
you
did
said.
not.
And you had no knowledge of it until the plaintiff's boyfriend called you and said, you're not taking the child to school anymore because of you, we have an appointment with Protective Services.
Your
now,
Honor.
This is dated March 21st. They are closing the investigation because the allegations were unsubstantiated.
Correct.
Do you have what the allegations were?
I have the report where it says clearly that she had called and
I'd like to
sent
see
email.
that. That's very important.
And
That's an email from... All right.
that's the reports from DCF.
Investigation protocol. Well, it is perfectly clear that you called the worker.
Absolutely.
You're perfectly clear that you called the worker and made this report.
I did not call DCF initially. I swear to you I did not.
I don't care whether you called initially. It says that you called them.
I called
March 2nd.
after the fact because I was being blamed by Patrick, and I wanted to be sure to clear myself. I also wanted to tell the person
We
at
need
DCF,
help, and quick.
Yes.
Before that woman takes the child away again.
Absolutely. She had done that before.
That has nothing to do with
Dante
you.
was frightened to me. He cried twice. I swear to you, Your Honor. May I tell you the story?
Just a second. First of all, you can't lie to me.
I'm not lying.
Well, you did.
Absolutely
You did. You
not.
absolutely did.
I did not make the initial call, Your Honor.
I didn't use the word initial.
I did call
Listen to
DCF.
me. I didn't use the word initial.
Well,
I said, did you call Child Protective Services? You said no. And it's clear to me from reading this exactly what happened. You spoke to the principal, and the principal called, and you followed up with Mr. Haas.
May I
There's
explain?
no question in my mind that that happened, madam.
Yes.
And there's no question in my mind that it happened because, according to you, your grandson was crying because he said, Mommy's going to move away. And you didn't want him to move away because you've taken over his education, you pay for his school in a private school, and you get to see him regularly. And according to you, which is what you just told me, she had taken him away once before, and you weren't going to have that situation happen again. That's what you said in your email. That's exactly what you said in your email.
If you allow me,
Go
I
ahead.
can explain that to you. 2 days prior to the principal calling, Miss Peterson went to the playground and said to the teacher, Dante should be able to call me anytime he wants.
To visit my son.
No, just
Sorry.
Listen
You
to
didn't-
Shh. Listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. You got to keep
No
it
reason
together.
to do that.
I'm sorry.
Say it to me again, just the way you just said it to me.
She said to the teacher, allow Dante to call me anytime he wants.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely. They have no problem
Well, I
with
don't
that.
like the way you said it.
That's
you
how
see,
she said it.
You understand? I don't like the way you said it. You said it as if she was saying something wrong.
That's how she approached them. Then she went into the office with a handwritten note, Your Honor, saying that Patrick would be the guardian.
That's this gentleman.
Right. That has only been in Dante's life a few months. The school felt that was highly unlikely. I wouldn't shoot myself in the foot and do that because she quickly would take our grandparent rights away, and she's done it in
You're
the past.
absolutely.
Would you please
You're
come
absolutely
forward?
right. You're absolutely right.
Come back and could you come
No,
to
just a
stand?
second.
I
didn't
want you
ask
to hear something.
Just a second. You're not following me. Stop shaking, Miss Peterson. Listen to me. I get it. It's sad and unfortunate, but I get it.
Can I show you one thing, please? Your Honor, down here where Dante was being interviewed by the social worker, it says Dante, and this is alone by himself outside. Dante reported that grandmother Marmolejo does not like his mother. Dante stated that Marmolejo calls his mother stupid and says her butt smells.
I never said such a thing. So help me
Dante's
God.
questioned all this, right down the bottom here, where it
That's
says interview with
definitely-
Dante.
Miss
Well, Dante
Peterson,
said it.
I
Miss
definitely would
Peterson,
never say
listen
anything
to
like
me.
that.
Listen to
My
me.
God,
There is
what
no
lies.
question in my mind that the defendant inspired, precipitated the call to Child Protective Services. You her husband?
Yes, yes, I am, Your Honor.
Pay careful attention.
You need to say that.
It's not her fault that your son died. You have a grandson that I assume you want to see, and your wife is making all the wrong calls with regard to whether or not you're going to continue to be in your grandson's life. There is no question in my mind that no court will take your grandson away from his mother and turn him over to you.
We don't-
Nobody is
We
going to
wouldn't
do
wanna
that.
do that.
And listen to me.
Never do
And the only thing that you and your wife can do is to stay on her good side, which you haven't done. So you better have a really good talk with her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You may be Mother of the Year, you may not be Mother of the Year, but he's your son. And
Thank
once
you.
you give these people an inch, you're going to take a whole yard. Do it until they get it.
And later today,
So you sent them more money.
Yes.
And then he wrecked that car.
Yes, ma'am.
You're just like an accident looking to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Big goofball.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kim Peterson claims her mother-in-law, Rose Marmolejo, made false accusations to Child Protective Services. Rose says Kim is keeping her from seeing her grandson.
Now, when one parent dies and the other parent is left and hooks up with somebody new, that's an irritant. And she's allowed to say, pay careful attention to me. She's the mother. She is allowed to say, if there's an emergency, you call my boyfriend who will come and take care of my child. You may not like it. That's too bad. She's the mother. She's
anything the way it occurred, Your Honor.
Hey,
Not
listen
at
to
all.
me. You just said to me, you started to tell me the story. I got it. Don't you understand? I've been in this business a long time. You were absolutely furious.
I called after the school already made the initial call.
Listen to me, madam. I got you. You were furious that you went into school.
That's not true.
You just told me.
I was not furious, Your Honor.
You were furious
not
that
at
you
all.
went into
never
school
would say you feel that way.
and changed the guardian to him. That's what you just told me.
That's why the school got upset. They did. I did not. Would you please step? Could my husband
Absolutely,
please step forward?
positively not. School doesn't get upset. School may have said to you, that's strange.
Not true.
But 2 days later, you called up and said, we need help quick. And before that woman takes that child away again, please call me ASAP so we can talk.
Dante
Dr.
cried
Kingston,
about that.
What? That's you.
He cried to me about that, Your Honor. So help me God. He did.
So as a result of that, you spoke to Child Protective Services?
Would you? My husband's on the school board. The principal told him the Thursday after.
Don't tell me what the principal told him at all. It's hearsay. I'm telling you what the official report from Child Protective Services says. Your conversation with them.
That's after
I don't
the
care if it's
call
after or
they
before.
made. They made the call initially.
Miss Peterson,
Yes,
you have to take control.
I have.
Listen
I
to
have.
me. You have to understand something. You allowed her to put your son in a private school where she pays the tuition and she volunteers. First mistake.
You're right. It was a big mistake.
First mistake. He's got to be out of that school, and he's got to be at a place where, if his grandmother wants to see him, there is a specific time that she gets to see him that you control. But you can't take with one hand, which is what you did, and you did it for the sake of your child, I assume, because he was going to a private school that perhaps you couldn't afford. But absolutely a bad idea.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely a bad idea. She cannot have any control about what happens in your home. And you've given her that control.
Yes.
And you have to take it back if you haven't done it already.
Yeah, well, it's over.
Okay, fine. So he no longer goes to that school.
No.
Perfect. Because if you give them an inch,
I
and you
treated her lovingly.
You may be Mother of the Year, you may not be Mother of the Year, but he's your son. And
Thank
once you give these people an inch, they're going to take a whole yard. Do it until they get it, that you're his mother and that you raise him. They had the opportunity to raise their son, good or bad.
She knows
Made
I have
mistakes,
always been good to her.
made mistakes or not make mistakes. Being good is not embroiling him in problems. And I absolutely find that this call was precipitated by you, and it was false, and it was based on the fact that you were afraid she was moving.
Absolutely not.
In the amount of $3,000. That's all. Step out.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope this sends a message to other grandparents that might try to do this.
None of this is true. I swear to you.
You can't play with a child's life. You can't do that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Williams versus Bell, step forward.
21-year-old Michelle Williams is suing her ex-boyfriend, Howard Bell, for a series of loans. Michelle says instead of repaying the money, Howard went back to his previous girlfriend.
Miss Williams, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And unfortunately for you, you gave him a whole bunch of money. You say that you made loans to him for that money. Mr. Bell says, while he acknowledges that you gave him money, he says it's just that. You gave him money, it was a gift, there was never any agreement that he would pay you back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did you give her, Mr. Bells?
Before I left to go to Michigan, before she gave me any money, I gave her like $125.
What'd you give her that money for, sir?
Because she gave me cigarettes and stuff while I wasn't working.
So she supported you when you weren't working?
Yes, ma'am.
Fed you?
No. My aunt fed me.
Your aunt fed you. She just bought you cigarettes.
Yes, ma'am.
Shouldn't smoke, sir. It's not good for you. So you gave her $120 to pay her back?
Yes, ma'am.
For money that she spent on you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you didn't give her any money just for nothing?
No, ma'am.
But she gave you money just for nothing?
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you think she did that?
She didn't give it to me for no reason.
Well, what was the reason?
To get my car out of impound so I could be with her.
What else did she give you money for?
She would call me like 3 times a day and ask me how much money I needed, if I needed more money or whatever. And I'd be like, just whatever you want to do. And she kept sending it.
So how much money did you give him in total, Miss Williams?
I think the exact amount was $1,892.
But who's counting, right? And you just kept giving him the money?
It started out as he just wanted enough to get his car to impound, and he'd call me the next day and say that it wasn't enough, he needed a little bit more, and that went on for about 3 days. Finally, when he did get the car out of impound, he ended up wrecking it.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
At least he's polite. Go ahead.
And he called me and said that he was going to try and find another car, but he'd need to borrow the money to get it. And when he did get it, he would put it in my name when he got back up here. So he called me and tells me he found a car for $600, and he'd like me to send him that money plus another $50 for gas so he can get it up here. And he was going to have to put it in his name till he got here, and then he would put it in my name.
So you sent him more money?
Yes.
And then he wrecked that car?
Yes, ma'am.
You're just like an accident looking to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Like a big goofball.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now Mr. Bells is going to move over to the plaintiff's chair because he has a case against your sister. Oh, and this I'm really anxious to hear.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Williams is suing her ex-boyfriend, Howard Bell, for a series of loans. Michelle says instead of repaying the money, Howard went back to his previous girlfriend.
Okay. Now, he couldn't put the car in your name because he wrecked it.
Yeah. Well, he didn't want to tell me that he wrecked the car, so he didn't call me, didn't answer anything. And he finally shows up a week later and tells me he bought a car with his money, and he was going to put that in my name when he got up here after he fixed it.
And what happened with that car?
Wrecked it.
Miss Williams, you sent him a whole lot of money, and it's money down sewer. But I don't believe that there were loans. I believe he just took off, and then you said, I gave him all this money because I thought he was going to come here and move in with me. We were going to be a family. That was the intention.
Yes, ma'am. I have text messages on my phone where she said that she would drop the case if I would just come back and be with her. And,
those were not sent
and
from me.
I've got text messages from her phone where she threatened to kill herself, told me that she was in the hospital for overdosing on Xanaxes and all types of other stuff.
Listen, did you take advantage of somebody who you shouldn't have?
Nope.
Yes, you did. You took advantage of them. That doesn't make it a loan. You took advantage of them. You're not supposed to do that, sir. If you take advantage of somebody who is needy and maybe not stable, that makes you not a nice person. Even if you say ma'am 40 times. Miss Williams, while I'm sympathetic with your plight, I am unsympathetic with the fact that you created a contract with Mr. Bells, because I don't think that you created a contract that is legally enforceable anywhere, and you know it. So your case is dismissed. Now, we're going to take care of Mr. Bells' other case. Now Mr. Bells is going to move over to the plaintiff's chair because he has a case against your sister. Oh, and this I'm really anxious to hear. Now, Mr. Bells, you finally got another car.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car did you get?
I've had 17 since November.
Well, what kind of car is that we're talking about in this case, sir?
A 97 Pontiac Sunfire.
And it is your claim that the defendant, who is the sister of the former plaintiff, took a baseball bat to your car.
Yes, ma'am.
After you ditched her sister.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm all broken up about that, Mr. Bell. Can you tell? I'm going to allow you to tell me what happened, sir.
Michelle sent me a text message to tell me to come and talk to her.
Who's Michelle?
The defendant's sister. So I came up to her job to talk to her about what was going on and everything, and as soon as we pulled in the parking lot...
Who's we?
Me and Annette.
Who's Annette?
My girlfriend.
That's your current girlfriend?
She's always been my girlfriend.
Does she give you money, too?
No, ma'am.
You give her money?
Yes, ma'am.
So you had current girlfriend when you were taking money from Miss Williams. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's really nasty, Mr. Bell. Does your mother like him?
No.
You know why I just knew that? 10 years from now, you won't like him either. You have children with him?
No.
Don't make any.
I can't have children anyway.
That's what they all say.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
So you pulled into the parking lot with your girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
Because Michelle wanted to speak to you, so you thought it would be nice to bring your girlfriend along.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
What happened was I came to Illinois that week. I had court on April 23rd, so I was coming to my court date. And when Michelle told me to come up there, me and Annette, we came up there to talk to her. And she said that she only wanted to talk to me, not Annette. So I was the only one that could come in where she worked at. So as soon as I pulled in the
That's
parking lot...
understandable, Mr. Bell.
Yes, ma'am. And as soon as I pulled in the parking lot, Beth and some other girl, I don't know who the other girl was, were all standing in the parking lot, and Beth threw a baseball bat at my car.
Ah! I am absolutely despondent. Did you do that, Beth?
No, ma'am.
No, she didn't.
I had to replace.
Why would she do that? Why would she throw a baseball bat at this 1997 Pontiac? Do you still have it?
Yes, ma'am.
The Pontiac?
Yes, ma'am.
With the dent in it?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
You haven't wrecked it yet?
No, ma'am.
You will. And then you will hardly even remember this dent that she says she didn't put in your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Goodbye, sir. Have a happy life. Your case is dismissed. It's over. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy, 18-year-old Tiffany Rubel, is suing her ex-boyfriend's mother, Angela Ober, for unpaid utility bills and for stealing her identity. Angela is countersuing for the cost of living expenses.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 126 on the calendar in the matter of Rubel versus Ober.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Miss Rubel, Miss Ober is your ex-boyfriend's mother.
Yes.
And there came a time in 2006, I believe, that you had difficulty at home.
Yes.
And you went to live with Miss Ober.
Yes, Your Honor.
And during that time, you allowed Miss Ober to open up utility accounts in your name.
It was actually when I was at school at Eastern Kentucky University when I allowed her to open gas and electric in my name.
When you were at school, you were not living with her?
No.
So you had already spent time in her house?
Yes.
So you had spent about a year in her house?
No, it was about 3 months.
That's not true.
How long was it?
She moved in February of 2006. Remainder of her senior year of high school, stayed the whole summer at my house.
Okay.
Also went to EKU, and I picked her up every weekend, every Friday.
But it was while you were at school that she opened the accounts with your permission in your name. Put that folder down, please. And it is your claim that two things. A, that she didn't pay those bills. And second, that she also opened up a cable account using your name, and that you did not give her permission to open.
No, I did not.
And that there is an outstanding bill on that. You wanted to take care of all the bills.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's not true. Again, that's not true.
Just a second. Ms. Ober says, well, she had your permission to open the account. She didn't think that it was a big deal to open up the cable account, that she's counterclaiming because she says you should pay her for all the money she expended while you were living with her on you. So, Ms. Ober, I'm going to deal with that first. You had no contract with Miss Rubel when she moved in that she was going to compensate you for any money that you gave her. There's no indication in your counterclaim. So in order to have a contract, you have to have an agreement. And you had no agreement with her.
We had a verbal agreement.
No, you didn't. That's absolutely not true. If you had a verbal agreement, you would have said so in your answer. And you would have said so in your counterclaim, that you had an agreement that when she graduated from college or whatever, she was going to pay you back for all the money you laid out for her. You don't mention that at all. You want me to read you what you say?
No. At the end of it, I said she agreed to pay back in payment. I do believe, I thought.
You say, the plaintiff stayed in my home from February 2006 until February of 07. That is not true. That is not true.
She was away at college for 3 months and then moved back into my home. I moved her to college and moved her back home from college to my home.
Was she living with you continuously from February 2006 until February 2007?
No, ma'am.
Okay. She moved into your home because she was staying with her aunt and they had a big fight. Even though Tiffany and her aunt later made up, Tiffany begged and pleaded for me to let her stay with me. I took her to and from school. I moved her down to Kentucky to go to college. I gave her lunch money, paid for her prom dress. Even though my son was a freshman, it was her senior prom. I paid for basically everything. So there was no agreement, because if there was an agreement, you had plenty of paper there to say there was an agreement. So you can't make an agreement where there was none. Now, you want to tell me why you opened up utility accounts in her name?
I have the letter that she took to the CG&E company where she opened it up from the landlord.
Why? Why didn't you open it up?
Because I had outstanding bills that couldn't be paid at that point in time. I didn't have the money. I have 3 children and was getting no child support. My ex-boyfriend and I were arguing. It was a bad environment for her, myself, and my children.
Yes.
We had to get out. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Had to get out.
Well, just tell me what she said to you and what you said to her.
I got into an argument with my ex-boyfriend. I was crying. There was chaos. The house was tore up from fighting and carrying on, and she came to me crying and said that we could move out of here. I said, I can't get the electric in my name or the cable because I have an outstanding bill. I was working on paying them. I have paid them off. Everything is in my name.
Well, what about the bills that she's getting now, Miss Ober?
Because she agreed to pay them when we moved out.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't, Miss Ober. I don't even have to ask her that. She said, I'll help you out. If you can't put them in your name, put them in my name.
That's also not true. I didn't offer. She asked me.
That's not true.
Why didn't you pay the bills?
Because I was paying all the bills. I paid the rent, I paid the food, I paid for her clothes, I paid for her to go to a Bengals-Steelers game, I paid for everything under the sun for her. And when I couldn't pay for her to do the things that she wanted to do, go shopping and do all the other things,
well, just
then she moved out.
Miss Ober, when she was living with you, where was she working?
At Photo Lab at Kroger's, and then she got a job at a restaurant.
When she was living with you, she was working at Photo Lab? Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
No, actually it's not. I was working at the Village of Addison in the clerk's office.
I didn't understand a word you just said.
In the Village of Addison for the clerk.
And what were you doing with the money that you were earning?
I paid for a lot of prom, too.
You paid for a lot of prom. What else did you pay for?
I paid for lunch sometimes, and that's probably about it.
And what about the ex-boyfriend? What does he do?
He's in high school.
16 years old.
Okay. Very good. Can I see the bills, please?
Yes.
And when you moved in with Miss Ober, you were in high school?
Yes. Here's everything.
I would like to also say something. Her aunt, when she moved out of her house, received child support from her mother and father for her while she lived in my home.
You should have sued her aunt.
And Tiffany is still on a Medicaid card through Ohio and is not living in Ohio. She lives in Indiana. She works at the BP in Indiana.
Miss Ober, first of all, the second part was vicious. First part of what you just told me was really your fault. If she was living with you and you were supporting her and somebody else was getting support for her from her parents, you should have marched right into family court and said, the support should come to me, not to somebody else.
Well, I'm not going to fight a year and a half to get money that is not going to come to me anyway.
But this money is money that you owe. You owe money for the utilities.
No, she was living in my home. She agreed to pay them.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe for a second that she agreed to pay them. If she agreed to pay them, she wouldn't have let them build up like this.
It was 2 months of service.
Right. I know that you're accustomed to not paying your bills, but somebody who's just starting out in life is not accustomed to not paying their bills. You know you didn't pay your bills. That's why you couldn't put the utilities on in your name.
Because I had an ex-boyfriend who wouldn't let me get ahead.
Listen to me. It's always somebody else's fault. Is that what you're saying to me?
No, I'm not.
It's the ex-boyfriend's fault. It's her fault. It's the aunt's fault.
No, I tried to contact her aunt to take her back home. She wouldn't talk to me.
It's always somebody else's fault. Is that what you're telling me?
No.
You're a victim. Well, you'll always be a victim.
I'm a victim of a 19-year-old.
You'll always be a victim. The answer is you didn't pay your bills. Not that your ex-boyfriend didn't let you get ahead. If you're a big enough girl to make 3 children, that's what you have, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're big enough to get away from an ex-boyfriend who wouldn't let you get ahead. Not soon enough to pay your bills.
You know, I took her in the kindness of my heart. You know, and then after she moved out, her other aunt said to me, Tiffany goes wherever Tiffany's going to reap the benefit.
So whose fault was that?
I guess mine, and it'll never happen again.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $886. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was 18 years old, and I helped her, and she agreed to pay the bills and didn't.
I got the money back that I deserved.
She was out on the street, basically, with nowhere to live because her aunt chose not to let her come back home.
I did move back home, actually, in June of 2006, and I stayed there until I went to college.
Never. Again, will I let someone come into my home?
I trusted her, and she lied.
Not again. I won't trust anyone.
I'm not really selfish.
I won't do anything for anybody anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Browning versus Cranford, step forward.
Brack and Marla Browning are suing their son's former friend, David Cranford Jr., for crashing their motorcycle after Brack asked him not to ride it. David insists he was given permission to take the bike.
Miss Browning, were you there during this incident?
No, I was at work.
So you don't know anything other than what your husband told you,
Well,
is that
David
right?
called me.
Why don't you have a seat? Okay. According to your complaint, Mr. Browning, Mr. Cranford, who is a friend of your son's, took your motorcycle. Your son was with him that day and rode it and crashed it. And you want him to pay to fix it.
Yes, ma'am.
That seems like a relatively simple case. However, Mr. Cranford seems to feel as if it's everybody else's fault. So he's going to tell me about it. On what date did this happen?
It happened November 13th, I believe.
And where were you?
I was down the street from my home working.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for the Red Cross, but on this day, I was helping a friend of mine.
Doing what?
Clearing brush, working on the farm.
And where was your son?
He was at David's house.
And he had gotten to David's house on the motorcycle.
Yes, that's what I
Is
understand.
that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up next to your phone. So tell me what happened on that day, Mr. Browning.
The boys came over to where I was working and asked if they could ride the motorcycle, and I told them no.
Who's they?
My son and David.
Well, your son was already riding the motorcycle.
I wasn't aware of that at the time. I was working down the street. They came and asked if David could ride the bike.
That's
And
David.
This is David. I told him no, that there was no insurance on the bike.
Why wasn't there insurance on the bike?
It had just lapsed a week earlier. It was late October. In our part of the country, it's very cold in the wintertime. We normally don't ride in the wintertime, so.
So you don't have to pay for it during the wintertime.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get to David's house?
I had rode the bike down. At the time, we lived not too far from where he lived.
Did you have permission to take the bike out?
Yeah.
Who gave you permission to take the bike out?
Nobody. Normally, I just get on it and go.
Mr. Browning, had you told your son that the insurance lapsed on the bike?
No, ma'am. It had just lapsed a week before, and I didn't think I had to.
Well, you had to because he was using the bike.
Yes, ma'am.
So when they came and asked if David could ride the bike, you said no.
I said no.
And then what happened?
I went back to work. The boys were up at the street where I was working was several hundred yards off the street.
Well, then I assume you said it has no insurance on it. So what did your son say to you when you said it has no insurance?
At the time, it was David that came up and asked me.
I thought you said the boys came up.
They had called just a couple minutes earlier. They were right down the street. Frank asked me if David could ride the bike. I said no.
Just a second. Mr. Browning, we can't make things up as we go along, sir.
No,
The
ma'am.
first story that, yeah, I know you're very polite, and that's very nice, but the first thing you told me was you were working clearing brush. The boys came up and asked you if David could ride the bike, and you said no because it has no insurance. Now you're changing that story. Now you want to tell me what the story is you're going to tell me now.
Frank had called me about 5 minutes earlier that they were down the street and that David wanted to ride the bike. I said no, and I think David talked him into coming down to where I was working to ask again.
Well, don't tell me what you think.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, who came up to where you were working?
Mr. Cranford.
Only.
Frank was there, but
That's what I want to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Frank was there. How did they get there?
David rode the motorcycle. Frank was following him in David's car.
So when you saw him, he was already on the motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you say?
I told them they shouldn't be riding the bike
Why?
because there was no insurance. David didn't have a motorcycle license, for one thing.
Did you tell your son that there was no insurance on the bike?
I believe I did. I was
Is
speaking.
that right, sir?
He may have.
I was speaking to Mr. Cranford at the time.
Well, it would seem to me if you saw that the bike was out, Mr. Browning, and if it had no insurance on it, and the reason you let the insurance lapse was because you were coming into the winter months, you would have said to your son, put that bike away immediately because there's no insurance on it, unless you were allowing him to ride it without insurance.
No, ma'am. They, being teenagers, even though Mr. Cranford's 27, he acts 17 like my son, and they argued with me. And I got upset that they wouldn't take no for an answer and went back to work. I wasn't going to stand there and argue with them.
Who was arguing?
Both of them were wanting to ride the bike.
What did your son say to you?
I don't recall other
Do you
than they
recall?
were not taking no for an answer.
Do you recall?
I argued with him a little bit over the phone, and when he said no, we hung up the phone, and I told David what he said, and David said, well, let's ride across the street, and I'll ask him.
And when David said, let's ride across the street, did he get on the bike?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mr. Cranford, you knew you had no permission to get on the bike.
Partially, yes, ma'am.
What do you mean partially? There's no partially. It's like being a little bit pregnant, sir. Either you have permission or you don't have permission.
Well, I didn't know I was a definite no yet. I thought it was
No.
a
What does it
think
mean?
about it.
No. I want to tell you something. You better stay away from girls, sir. No means no. There's no halfway no. No means no.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
if you're saying to me, I thought I could change his mind,
That's what I was thinking.
then you don't ride the bike there.
It was right across the street.
I don't
pretty
care
much.
if it was right around the street. I don't care if it was from here to here. You didn't have permission to get on his bike,
Yes, ma'am.
and you crashed the bike.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how that happened, David.
I was traveling down 71, and it's
But
a
you
mountain.
had no permission to do that.
Well, at the time, Frankie come up at my house, and I had to go.
You
to-
already knew the word was no. Then you went up to change his mind. And what happened when you went up to change his mind?
From my understanding, when I was standing there, Your Honor, I didn't get a definite yes or no. It was just more like a I don't care kind of attitude. Is what,
He already told you no.
He didn't come right out to me and say absolutely no. He was just giving excuses of why not, you know, and why
the answer. I was hoping he'd be as dumb in person as he was in his answer.
He's not disappointing you.
He's not disappointing me. Let's get to riding the bike and how this incident happened that rendered Mr. Browning's bike $5,000 in damage.
Like I said, I was coming down the mountain, and there's some twisty turns on it, and some of the people that drive, the local people that drive around through there, they travel really fast up through there, and a car was coming around the corner that I was approaching, and it came off into my lane, and I had to swerve to the right to avoid hitting the head-on collision and killing myself. And when I did, it's a crotch rocket motorcycle, and when it hit the grass, the wheel just yanked on me, and it started flipping, and I rolled down the road about 55 miles an hour, flipping down the road.
You were flipping down the road 55 miles an hour? You
Yes,
must have
ma'am.
been going very fast, Mr. Cranford.
Well, the speed limit was 55.
Do you have a license to drive a motorcycle?
No, ma'am. I've got a driver's license, but not a...
Do you
I
need
didn't
a
realize I had to have a motorcycle license to drive. I figured it was just like a driver's license. I didn't even know at the time.
Well, how many times have you driven a motorcycle?
I've driven it a few times back when I was younger, but...
But a what?
I haven't recently.
Well, if you don't drive a motorcycle for a long time and you don't have any special training, it would seem to me that despite the fact that the speed limit is 55 miles an hour, I would not, if I were prudent. Do you know what that means?
Yes, ma'am.
If I were prudent, I wouldn't go on a twisty, windy road where everybody goes very fast, because that's what you said, that you knew about this road that you were on, because you come from the area, so you know that everybody goes very fast. I wouldn't take a motorcycle that I had no experience with and drive on a dangerous road and go 55 miles an hour. Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
I got it. But I want to tell you something. You're going to have this bike fixed? Do you have the estimate to fix it?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the estimate to fix it?
Estimate comes to over $7,000.
I wouldn't let your son drive it again. For a while. Because he is complicit in this, despite the fact that he's 17 years old. And you are how old?
27.
Because he didn't have to let him ride it.
I feel like he was influenced by the older kid.
Well, Mr. Browning, that may be. But if you let him ride the motorcycle again and let him have it back, he hasn't learned anything from it.
I agree.
And if you're going to entrust what could be a weapon to a child's hand, you have to assume the consequences.
Well, my son's been through a motorcycle safety course. I sent him through that before he ever
doesn't know
rode
the
it.
word no.
Most 17-year-olds don't. And
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, Mr. Browning. But for the fact that your son let him ride this motorcycle, we wouldn't be standing here today. And that was very bad judgment on his part. Immature judgment. He could easily be swayed. This time he was swayed by somebody who's 27. Next time it could be somebody who's 14. And if it's somebody who's 14 and they get hurt on your motorcycle, you're not going to have a home anymore. Or a
They're
car,
lucky someone didn't get
or
hurt.
a motorcycle, or anything else. So, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. It's your fault. You got to say, my fault, my bad, my responsibility. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
26-year-old Erica Heskett is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old Joseph Siegert, for loans to retain an attorney and to repair his credit. Erica also claims Joseph assaulted her.
All rise. Now, this is case number 123 on the calendar, the matter of Heskett versus Siegert.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Hesketh, the defendant used to be your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And you, as so many other women who have appeared before me over the years, gave him some money.
Yes,
A
ma'am.
lot of money.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't look like a very, very rich girl, so you look as if this money really put a dent in your wallet.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, you claim not only to have given him money, but to have been the victim of his bad temper.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim that he assaulted you, and you want him to be responsible for that as well. Mr. Siegert says that there was, over the course of your relationship, money moved back and forth. There was never any understanding that he was going to repay this money that you gave him. He doesn't much talk about the assault, but he will today. So, when did you and the defendant start to live together?
Ma'am, we first started living together around 13 September of '06.
And did you move in together to a place, or did he move into your apartment?
Ma'am, he's on parole. He got released from parole and got what is called live-outs. So therefore, he was given permission to live with me in my condo and do a work release type program.
What were you in prison for, Mr. Siegert?
I was a DWI. It was a suspended sentence, Your Honor.
So you weren't in prison?
No, ma'am.
When did you move into her apartment, sir? On September 13th?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was the financial arrangement, Mr. Siegert, when you moved into her apartment?
There wasn't none. There was no agreement whatsoever. And when I basically found another place, which was back with my parents, then I moved out.
When was that?
Well, September 13th I moved in, so I would say October and November was when we were splitting up a lot, fighting.
Is that right?
Ma'am, he moved out the 13th of December, and that was the final day when all the stuff got removed from my residence.
Okay, so let's hear about the money you claim he owes you.
Okay, around the 26th of August, he had to go down to Texas for his child support hearing. Basically, he owed around $15,000 in back child support. They were going to throw him in jail, and he had to go to court down there. He stressed the importance of being able to see his daughter and have his daughter into his life, and really was upset and asked me for help. I went at that time with him to City Financial Bank, and I took out a loan for $5,000. I then turned around and deposited that money into my account. I transferred $3,000 from savings to checkings on the 29th so I could write the check of check number 1222.
For what?
For his attorney, for the retainer.
And how did you get the name of the attorney?
He had provided the name of the attorney, ma'am.
And how did you get the city and state of the attorney?
He provided it, ma'am.
And how did you get the amount that was owed the attorney?
He provided it, ma'am.
Did you speak to the attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got the telephone number from?
The defendant.
Is that all correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when you sent this money down, what kind of discussion did you have with Mr. Siegert with regard to the money?
Ma'am, he promised that he would pay me back on the monthly payments that were due, and he claimed that
because this was a loan that you were going to be paying back. You didn't just take money out of your bank. And how much were the monthly payments?
They were around $148 a month.
That's a pretty exact number. Were they $148 a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So that's the first amount of money. What else?
The other amounts that I helped him out with was basically the rent, which we had the agreement.
Forget rent. If you didn't pay the rent the first month, you should have kicked him out. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Now you want to tell me about when this assault allegedly took place?
Yes, ma'am. The assault happened on 31 December at around 12:30 in the morning. The defendant came over. He had still had house keys since he had previously moved out on the 13th. He came in. He was drunk at the time, came into my bedroom, was trying to talk to me while he was drunk. I told him to get out. We got into a fight because I threatened to call the police. And basically, he slapped the cell phone out of my hands. He grabbed me. I was on the chair, and he pinned me down. He had one hand over my nose and one over my mouth, and he says, "How does it feel knowing that I've got your life in my hands?" I then told him to get off. I couldn't catch my breath, and I proceeded to just get extremely dizzy and sick.
And he left?
He left, but he took my vehicle in the process.
Did he return the vehicle?
The cops contacted him. The vehicle got returned.
You called the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you arrested that day, sir?
No, Your Honor.
How did they get the car?
I ended up bringing it back to her because reported phone calls and stuff like that and threats. So I brought it back. I didn't want any more conflict whatsoever. But if you don't mind, Your Honor, the only evidence I have against that assault is right here from my PO stating...
Don't tell me what your PO states.
Okay.
Let's get to this money that Ms. Haskett laid out for you. $3,000 you acknowledge she gave towards your attorney.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, is this a retainer for an attorney, or was this to pay your child support?
An attorney.
An attorney for what?
For child support, I was fighting for custody and to take care of the back child support.
Why were you fighting for custody?
Well, I wanted to get my rights back.
What rights?
The standard visitation rights.
So, well, there's a difference between custody and visitation. So what were you fighting for?
Just my visitation. And to get back child support readjusted.
Well, did you get the back child support readjusted?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
To what?
It is down to about $7,000. And now I'm paying extra each month to get it back down.
Wouldn't it have been smarter to save the $3,000 for the lawyer and just give the $3,000 to your child?
I couldn't. I had to fight for myself. Because if I did not go down there and get it reduced, yes, I would have went to jail. Because it was an outrageous amount.
Well, how much was it a week?
It was a week. They didn't know my income right at the time because...
Don't tell me what they didn't know. I asked you a specific question. What was the amount of child support you were supposed to pay?
$384 a month.
That's not an outrageous amount.
Well, it's, for one child, you don't get a C.
How much were you supposed to pay that you didn't pay a month?
$384 a month, Your Honor.
That was not an exorbitant amount.
No, it wasn't.
Why didn't you pay it?
Because I wasn't seeing her. She wouldn't let me.
Why didn't you go to court?
I was in the process of it. I didn't have the money.
You don't need money to go to court. Every domestic relations court in this country, you can appear pro bono if you want to, if it's important to you.
Very.
If it was important to you, that's what you do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
I didn't think it would be brought up.
Why didn't you think it would be brought up?
Didn't cross my mind. I was thinking about
You have no mind.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erica Heskett says ex-boyfriend Joseph Siegert owes for loans and an assault.
In any event, why should Miss Hassett pay this $3,000 for a lawyer that you needed to keep you out of jail because you didn't pay child support?
Because I actually had an agreement with my attorney on payment plans.
So why didn't you pay her? She has to pay $148 a month. How much were you supposed? If you were supposed to pay your lawyer a payment plan, how much were you supposed to pay your lawyer a month?
It was going to be $100 a week.
$100 a week, which is $400 a month.
Yes.
Well, this was only $148 a month. Why didn't you pay her?
She was paid, Your Honor.
How?
By cash,
No, that's not what you say here. I have your answer. And when you had time to write this answer, you had time to reflect. So don't give me a lot of baloney. The only thing that you say here is that you gave her a $2,800 settlement check. It's the only thing that you say that you gave her. Am I correct? That's what you say here. And you say there was money back and forth. But as far as this $3,000 is concerned, what you say, Mr. Siegert, is she took it upon herself to pay the lawyer. I never asked her.
She did. That's exactly how it went. She was being...
Who are you?
I'm his mother.
I would suggest you be quiet. So far, you haven't done a good job.
But, Your Honor, I...
Got it?
Yeah.
And I would keep the relationship to myself, especially today.
Your Honor, I did not ask her to go get the $3,000.
What I'm asking you, sir, is if you had an arrangement with the lawyer to give him $100 a week,
yes,
which is $400 a month, and she laid it out, why didn't you give her the $400 a month until the $3,000 was paid off?
It was paid off, Your Honor.
Tell me how. That's what I'm listening.
By a settlement check. I was getting at it.
Well, then
I
get
got
there.
I received it in January 7th.
Settlement check for what?
I was fired for wrongful reasons.
Did you receive that $2,800
No, ma'am.
check?
No, ma'am.
Show me proof.
I have no proof, Your Honor, due to the fact that she entered my house a while back and took all my receipts and contracts
Mr.
everything
Siegert,
for that.
Mr. Siegert, I believe you this much, sir, because
that.
all you have to do is call whoever sent you the settlement check. Get a copy of it, because if she endorsed it, they would have gotten it back, right?
I have a copy of...
Show me.
...of the settlement at my house.
Just a second. You have a copy of the settlement at your house. Where did you think you were coming today? To the beach?
I didn't think it would be brought up.
Well, of course it would be brought up, sir. That's what you wrote in your answer. Why didn't you think it would be brought up?
Didn't cross my mind. I was thinking about
You have no
assault.
mind. You owe her the $3,000. Now, let's hear your version of the events of the 31st of December when you entered her home.
I don't recollect hardly anything whatsoever
Why?
because I don't drink. I don't drive.
Well, you did drive because you just told me that you returned her car to her, so you clearly drove.
Well, not personally.
What do you mean not personally?
Well, because I was paying for a vehicle that I could not drive yet.
Look at you. I want you to look at your mother's face. Your mother is looking at you and saying, I really wish I wasn't here. Why
That
didn't
makes
I
two of
send
us, Your
somebody else? You have other children?
Yes.
You have older children?
Yes.
Why didn't I send one of the older kids with him? Why am I subjecting myself to sitting here and having a television camera on me, listening to this child that I reared? Listen, tell me about the 31st of December.
31st of December. Yes, she did call and report that I did assault her. As I know.
I want you to tell me not what she did.
Your Honor, I honestly don't know what I did exactly on the 31st, but I know what
Because
she
you were
said
what?
I didn't do. What's that?
Because you were drinking?
No, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't know what you were doing on the 31st of December, either you were drinking or drugging or something.
Either I was working or sleeping. That was my life, Your Honor. I was on parole. That's what my life is now. I don't do anything that she says I do. Drink, drive, commit crimes, all that stuff. I've made my mistake, and I pay for it.
Not yet.
Obviously.
How many grandchildren does your mother have?
She has one, Your Honor.
Does she see that one grandchild?
Sorry, I apologize. She has 3. 1 from me and 2 from my sister.
You don't have to bend down. We can hear you. Does she see the grandchild that is your child?
No.
Is that her choice, your choice, or the child's choice?
Neither. The mother's choice. That's why I'm in a battle.
Maybe you wouldn't be in such a battle if you paid your child support.
It's being paid, Your Honor.
Well, people usually don't go on an eating hiatus, Mr. Siegert.
Right.
Including children. They have to eat regularly, they have to be clothed regularly. So the fact that you went on a child support hiatus doesn't necessarily endear you to the mother of your child.
Your Honor, I'm not saying that I didn't. Well, I didn't pay the child support. I'm not saying I didn't have her on and off. I had her, she got her money, but it wasn't recorded. That's what I'm saying. Now it's legal through the courts, and they didn't adjust anything, and that's why it's being adjusted from what I did already pay.
Listen, Miss Hassett, you weren't together with him very long, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you.
I made a mistake.
You made a mistake.
A big one.
So right now, what you really out is $3,000. You have no difference in your rent, even though you say that he promised to pay you rent. He lived with you 3 months. You still living in the same condo?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a roommate?
No, ma'am.
Right. So your primary problem is that you are stuck with this $3,000 loan that you took out to pay for his lawyer, and that he's responsible to pay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Step out.
I found him when he was in a hard time of his life. I tried to help him out.
It's trying to keep me around by buying stuff, obviously.
He wanted to see his daughter.
It was nice, considerate stuff. I mean, I'm not complaining about it.
I just told him you can't buy love.
I don't know what goes through her mind anymore.
I am who I am, and I guess I'm a sucker.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Allen versus Stevens. Step forward.
22-year-old Lindsay Allen is suing eBay seller 26-year-old Karen Stevens for selling her a fake Louis Vuitton purse. Karen insists the purse is real.
Miss Allen, you purchased what you believe to be an authentic designer bag on the internet from the defendant. I think you paid $250 for it. When it arrived, it was your belief that it was a fake.
Yes.
And you spent another $35 to have someone examine it. And you are going to be showing me, according to your complaint, that it was determined that the bag was, in fact, a fake.
Yes.
Ms. Stevens says there is no way that the bag was fake, and she's going to prove to me that the bag was authentic. Can I see the bag, please?
Yes.
Why did you want this bag, by the way?
I've always wanted an authentic Louis Vuitton purse. I did not know that what I was getting was a replica. I do have a real one here to compare.
I'd like to take a look at it, please.
The serial number on the authentic one is underneath the pouch.
This pouch?
Yeah, the interior pouch, right underneath it.
Oh, you would never know that unless you looked very carefully.
And there's no serial number on the replica as well. As you can see also, the stitching is uneven. In authentic Louis Vuitton purses, the stitching is usually close to perfect.
There are several things that are different.
Yes.
There is no authentication on the lock, and there is an authentication on the lock on this one. Have you ever examined a real one as compared to this one?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Stevens, what do you do for a living?
I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I sell on eBay.
Where did you get this bag from?
My mom.
Where did she get it from?
A good friend of hers. It was actually a gift.
Well, it's a fake.
I don't believe that it is.
Yeah, it is. Sure it is. Would you send it back to her? She's going to look at several things. First of all, she's going to look at the piping. She's going to look at the serial numbers inside. She's going to look at the lock. First, take a look at the lock on both. Take a look at the lock on the real one. Turn it over. One also has a serial number on the bottom. The one that you sold her does not.
Yes.
Now open up the real one. Open up the flap, and you'll see a serial number underneath the flap. See the serial number?
Yes.
Open up yours. See a serial number?
No, I do not.
Got it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You look like a very nice lady. She wants her money back. When did she call you and tell you that she wanted her money back?
She emailed me after receiving the purse saying that it was fake, and I said that I didn't believe that it was. And if she did believe that it was fake, I sent 7 different very detailed pictures to her of the purse that show the stitching. If she had any idea that it wasn't authentic or thought that it wasn't, I sent extra pictures.
Listen to me. You sent her the pictures for her to try to prove that it was a real purse.
Exactly.
But it's not.
But why did she not argue that if she thought that it was? Because I'm not a cheater or a stealer.
Now, I understand that, but she wanted her money back. And if you had said, listen, if you're dissatisfied with the purse, I'll give you your money back, we wouldn't be here today. But in order for her to prove to you that it was fake, she took it to somebody to authenticate it. Do you have the report? Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to sell things? That's what happens. I mean, if you don't know that something is authentic and you advertise it as a Louis Vuitton bag, you're advertising it as an authentic Louis Vuitton bag. Yes. Turns out that it is not an authentic Louis Vuitton bag. I can see that. I've shown you some examples of where you can look and see it. I don't think you're a dishonest lady. I think you thought perhaps she was mistaken. Maybe you thought she was trying to scam you and would send you back a different bag, which is what you say in your answer. In the meantime, the big bag goes back to the plaintiff. The little bag stays with the defendant, and she gets her money back, plus the cost of the expert, $285. Thank you very much. You're 2 nice ladies.
Susan Pruitt is suing her neighbor, Crystal Perkins, for causing animal control to take away her cats. Crystal claims one of Susan's pets scratched her daughter.
Yeah, this is case number 318 on the calendar in the matter of Pruitt versus Perkins. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Pruitt, you and the defendant are neighbors. Yes. She recently moved to the neighborhood, is that right?
Correct.
You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
1 at home.
And you?
8.
Are they all living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, it's a shame that you 2 people got off to a bad start, but according to what I've read, Miss Pruitt, you did just that, get off to a bad start. You don't like each other, that is clear. However, your complaint is you have cats. Cat had kittens. Miss Perkins found herself in possession of 3 of your kittens because they strayed onto her property, I assume. They're allowed to roam free?
They were in the front yard. Yes, ma'am.
Whatever. They weren't in your house. They got to her house. She corralled them, called animal control, and said, I have these 3 stray cats. They came and picked them up, and now they're at animal control, and you don't have the money to get them out. And you claim that this is a form of harassment. She did it with another one of your cats that got onto her property. Ms. Perkins says one of your cats scratched her child, and you should have kept your cats in your house. If you didn't keep them in your house and they come onto her property, she has every right to corral them and call animal control. That's your defense. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said not only that, but she's been harassing you by sending nasty letters to neighbors and filing false police reports about you, and you have a counterclaim. When did you move to the neighborhood, Miss Perkins?
In May 2005.
And I gather that your children played together, or some of your children played together, at least initially. Is that right?
When I first moved in, everything was great. We barbecued together. You know.
So what happened?
Well, little things started happening with the kids, and like one day one of the kids said fart, and she came over and had a problem with that. I mean, she blew up and said she was not going to have that language in her house. Personally, I'm
I don't
sorry.
care what personally. Go ahead. Tell me just the facts. Ma'am.
Okay, anyway, and then I started getting different letters with different things being said in them.
From whom?
Miss Pruitt.
Well, let me see them.
Okay. Also attached is a letter, an apology letter that my son wrote her for something that he said in her home on Father's Day.
What is this long letter? What is this?
That's what she does. She sits and just writes me letters like that. Just 6 pages, 7 pages, 8 pages. I guess she thinks she's a novelist.
These are all ridiculous letters. What happened with this relationship that you believe caused her to steal your cats?
Okay. When they first moved in May of 2005, everything was okay for a couple of weeks, and then red flags started showing.
Yes, I did complain to Chris about the kids' language. We don't use the kind of language, no matter what it is. If
Okay,
it's
so you
vulgar.
complained about the language.
I complained about the language. Other things like the children not respecting our home. And then her 14-year-old told me that her and her husband had arrest warrants. That's why they left Maryland. And I was concerned about that because we were neighbors. And so I emailed the sheriff's department in the county they were from, and he emailed me back and confirmed that. Which
Do you have a copy of the email?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see it, please.
A couple weeks after that.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. Okay.
Okay, well, a couple weeks after that, I had called Crystal to retrieve a toy that belonged to my son. And as soon as I got out, I said, Chris, can you have one of the kids bring it back over next door? It started the cussing, the F and B. Hank, what are you doing calling me, you F and B? So I hung up the phone. I called the police
Had you been
department.
contacted by the Maryland authorities?
No, ma'am. It's all taken care of.
Well, she has emails from the authority in Maryland that indicate that both you and your husband failed to complete the community service portion of a probation.
Right.
And as a result of that, warrants were outstanding for your arrest. That according to the police in Maryland, they did not intend to extradite you for that, but they said, and these had to do with, according to the police, bad checks. With their gratuitous advice, don't lend them any money, or take any checks, and stay clear.
Right.
Now, my question to you is, were you notified by anyone in Maryland that they had located you?
No. She comes screaming at me on 4th of July, I'm going to have you locked up and take your kids from you. So my kids are outside playing in a sprinkler. One of them said the F word again, fart, and she's like, that's it, I've had it. She said, I'm calling your landlord, and I'm getting you out of here. And she started freaking out, so I went and told my husband, I said, she's losing it again. I said, let's just go. So we spent 4th of July weekend in a hotel. My kids didn't even get to pop fireworks. They were miserable. She tried to take my daughter from me when we first moved in. She told my daughter she was going to
Okay, so you went to a motel, Miss Perkins.
her name.
Listen to me. You went to a motel.
Yes.
That night. When, for the first time, did you learn that Miss Pruitt had contacted the Maryland authorities?
4th of July. We were out there trying to have a good
Oh,
time.
just a second. On the 4th of July, did she tell you that?
She screamed it across the yard.
When, for the first time, did you call animal control and her cats?
Right here, I have that date
Give me the
also.
date.
Here's the picture.
Just tell me what the date
Okay,
is.
the first time is the 9th, August
What?
9th.
So after the 4th of July. Now tell me where you found the cat that day.
In the yard, right under the bush, outside the carport.
Outside your house?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
Well, I didn't, but my daughter did. She picked it up and she put it in the cage, and we called animal control. But that cat, they retrieved. They went and got that cat.
Is this the same daughter that was scratched by the cat?
Yes, ma'am.
Which cat scratched your daughter?
The 3 that came on the property after.
Okay. Miss Pruitt, did animal control indicate to you that you should keep these cats in your house?
No, ma'am, they did not indicate that.
Well, they should have.
May I say one thing?
Sure.
Crystal had said that I wanted to get her daughter.
I don't care about a daughter.
Okay, well,
I couldn't have cared less about that whole tirade.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're supposed to do the right thing and teach your children to do the right thing. Why are you looking at me with some look of incredulity? Am I saying something that doesn't sound right to you?
And later today.
None of this is Miss Peterson's fault.
That's right.
This is all your bad luck.
Yes.
Because you are an accident looking to happen.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Pruitt says neighbor Crystal Perkins owes for causing her cats to be taken away by animal control. Crystal is countersuing, claiming Susan has been harassing her.
Miss Pruitt, let me tell you what my problem is with your complaint. I read that she called animal control on one cat that had strayed onto her property. That would have said to any intelligent person, if I don't want my cats taken by animal control, I better keep them in the house.
I keep them in the house.
Well, you didn't. She didn't come in your house and get them.
The kitten stayed in the house. The day that they got this one, I don't know why Calico was outside. The second time they got the kittens, we were outside all day long. Within 30 minutes after we went in the house, whenever he went to look for them, the cats were gone.
Miss Pruitt, Miss Perkins did not come into your house and steal your cats.
No, she didn't.
Where did you find the cats the second time, Miss Perkins?
Same place. They go under that bush right outside the carport. They all get up under there. And I have a copy of the bite case, Your Honor, if you would like to see it.
I would.
Can I say something?
Sure. Who are you?
I'm Chris's husband, Gerald.
I figured you were, because you got very exercised when we started talking about these warrants. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that Miss Pruitt, she bribed my 14-year-old son as far as finding out information about us. She bribed him with a $60 PlayStation game at night.
Mr. Birkins, listen to me very carefully, sir. Your son should not know that his parents have outstanding arrest warrants for them. You know why he shouldn't know that his parents have outstanding arrest warrants? Because his parents shouldn't have outstanding arrest warrants. You don't blame anybody else. You don't blame your son. You don't blame Miss Pruitt. If you have an outstanding arrest warrant, and if your wife has an outstanding arrest warrant, you go back to the state of Maryland and you take care of it. Isn't that right?
Yes, I agree.
Good. And it seemed to me, I would want to know as your neighbor if you're in the habit of writing bad checks. I don't know why your son felt compelled to tell that to Miss Pruitt.
He was mad at me because I wouldn't buy the game for him. I told him he had to earn the money.
Exactly.
And she went and bought
And
it for
she
him.
said, I'll buy it for you, Brett, but I want to know why your parents are here. And we didn't run.
Listen to me very carefully. You left Maryland without completing your community service.
25 hours.
I don't care whether it was a half hour. If you wrote bad checks, you were given an opportunity, I assume, to stay out of jail. And the condition of that was that you perform community service. So not only did you commit a crime, but you committed a crime, and then you said to the justice system, conflict, I'm just moving. I'm leaving. Before you completed what you promised to complete. Because when the judge sentenced you, the judge said, this is what I'm going to do. Do you promise to complete community service? And you say, I'll do whatever is necessary to stay out of jail. If you had said, we're not going to do community service, they would have put you in jail for 60 days or for 90 days or for 6 months, and then you wouldn't have to do community service. You're supposed to do the right thing and teach your children to do the right thing. Why are you looking at me with some look of incredulity? Am I saying something that doesn't sound right to you?
No, ma'am.
Good.
May I say something, Your Honor?
No.
Okay.
No, because I just don't understand you. If they took one of your cats and they called animal control, so you know that they were angry with you, and they were angry with you in all probability because you had stirred up this muck about the Maryland warrants, then it would seem to me if you value your kittens, you keep them in the house. They did not come to your house to steal your cats, Miss Pruitt.
I offered the cat.
Shh. You did not offer the cat.
Yeah.
Whether they did or whether they didn't, my issue is whether or not you have a lawsuit. And you don't. They have a right, if these animals are on their property, especially since they say that one of the kittens scratched their daughter. Whether they did or whether they didn't, and whether they were being vindictive or not. They might have been. They might have said, listen, she stirred up all this muck about us. We're going to call animal control if her cats come on our property again. It's your responsibility as a pet owner not to put your animals in harm's way. And if you have cats and you choose to let them be outside cats, somebody, them, other neighbors, some stranger 2 blocks away is going to take your cat and is going to say, I don't want this cat coming in my house. I don't want this cat coming around underneath and spraying and making mess around my house. If people want to have animals, they have to take care of them. And if you didn't take care of them to the extent that these people managed to get their hands on them, you have no lawsuit.
I know what you're saying, but I also know these people, and they did do it in a vindictive way. And
they may have, but we don't have a special court.
For the kids
we don't have a special court for that. We don't have a special court for motives. I can say that it really wasn't the right thing to do. You could have just shooed them away and kept shooing them away. That's not what they pay me for.
Right.
They pay me to make a judgment as to whether or not you have a lawsuit, and you don't. Neither do you. You don't like each other. It's unfortunate that you don't like each other. Do you still live there?
Absolutely, and I'm not moving.
Good. Mr. and Mrs. Birkins, if I were you, I would go back to the state of Maryland and say, I'm sorry we left. I'd like to get this warrant discharged. I would like to complete my community service. I'm going to do that when my husband next has a 2-week vacation so that I can travel to all 50 states without risk of being arrested. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm happy with what she said to Miss Pruitt about the cats because I think it's ridiculous.
For anybody to take a child's kittens and keep them over the weekend where the child's going to cry the whole weekend was pretty cruel.
I hope this is the end of it.
We're just hoping that eventually they'll have it out with their landlord, which somebody usually does, and move.
I hope it's the end.
I don't want any contact with her, and she don't seem to understand that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Peterson versus Outlaw. Step forward.
24-year-old Cherie Peterson is suing her former friend, Kevin Outlaw, for a loan to buy a 1999 Lexus. Kevin says Cherie took the car back.
Miss Peterson, you worked with the defendant in the same place?
Yes.
Where was that?
UC Davis Medical Center.
What did you do there?
I do clerical work mostly. We actually still work together, but at the time that everything started, we worked more closely together in the file room, and now I'm doing more of new patient appointment.
Oh, God, that was a long answer. Mr. Radwell, according to what I read in Miss Peterson's complaint, she was a very good friend to you. You needed a car. You had miserable credit, so you couldn't get a car loan on your own. And you asked her if she would co-sign a car loan for you with the understanding that in 6 months' time, you would be working on your credit to get it back up to snuff, and you would refinance the car, getting her name off the loan. That was your agreement. Is that right?
Yes.
In exchange for that, you were going to do what?
Well, I gave her $200 to do
For
that.
her trouble.
Yes.
And she accepted the $200, and you went down to the car dealership where you had already picked out the car?
Yes, ma'am.
When you got there, according to Miss Peterson, they said, well, she can't just be a co-signer on this loan because it would be much better and your payments would be much less if the title to the car was in her name and all the payments in her name because your credit was really bad, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Miss Peterson said, okay, you know, it's just going to be for 6 months, right?
Right.
So she allowed her name to be put down on the car, title in her name, and then 6 months go by and you don't get the car out of her name and the loan, right?
Yes.
Why not?
Well, at the time, Your Honor, unfortunately, a couple weeks after I got the car, I went out on medical leave. I had a torn knee tendon in my knee, so I was off for a month. And when I came back, at the time I was working 2 jobs. I was a bartender also, part-time. So I lost my job when I came back. They said I was, overworked, I guess. Also, the car had to be put into the shop a few times. I had to get some repairs done on the car.
None of this is Miss Peterson's fault.
That's right.
This is all your bad luck.
Yes.
Keep going.
Okay, so the second income is gone, so I've had to get the repairs done on the car, which really cost me a lot. So I wasn't able to work on my credit like I was supposed to.
And you had creditors because why, sir? Because you didn't pay your bills?
Bad decisions, yes.
Bad decisions isn't the reason for bad credit. You didn't pay your bills.
Okay.
And how many people did you stiff? How many credit card companies did you stiff?
Credit cards are probably 2.
In what amount, sir?
I think one was 600 and something, and I can't really remember the other one.
Anybody else?
Maybe some phone bills, cable bills.
Phone, cable, credit cards. Also, not Miss Peterson's fault, is that correct?
Correct.
So this is what happened. After the 6 months, Miss Peterson said, I want my name off of this loan. This was our agreement. And she said, if you don't get my name off of this loan, I'm taking the car back, right?
Correct.
And you didn't get a loan, and she took the car back, right?
Correct.
And she sold it, correct?
Correct.
And there was a shortfall on the loan.
Correct.
Which you want him to pay.
Correct.
I'll hear you.
Well, I don't understand how I owe, Your Honor. I mean, I held up my end of the bargain as far as the 6 months.
No, you didn't.
I didn't?
No, you didn't. Your contract with her was that within 6 months' time, you would get this loan out of her name.
We don't have a written contract.
You don't have to have a written contract. You've just testified, sir, that that was your contract with her. In exchange for $200 for 6 months, she would allow her name to be used on this loan, and you agreed contractually with her that within 6 months' time, that loan would be out of her name. You failed to fulfill your obligation. Your obligation was to make the payments and get her name off that car loan so that she didn't have to hook her star to your galaxy because you are an accident looking to happen. How much was the shortfall on the car?
I had to come up with about $5,500.
Show me.
Here's the bill of sale and also what I had to come up with. The receipt shows $5,517, I think, and the other is the bill of sale, which the person bought the car for $14,000, and I owed $19,500.
Miss Peterson, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Did you graduate from college?
Yep.
You didn't take a course in practical skills.
I didn't take logic, no.
Never do this again.
I won't. I've learned a big
For
lesson.
the boyfriend, for the husband, For your cousin? Nobody.
I've learned.
Have you?
Yes. About $5,000 worth of learning.
That's a lot of saving.
Yeah.
Judge it for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. You owe her the money.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
22-year-old Ted Boyer is suing his ex-roommate, 21-year-old Chris Figlewitz, for vandalizing his property, the return of a security deposit, and an assault.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 321 on the calendar in the matter of Boyer versus Figlewitz. You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Mr. Boyer, how long were you and the defendant roommates?
For approximately 6 months.
Were you going to school?
Yes.
What school?
Golden West College.
What were you studying?
Graphic design.
And you?
I go to Musicians Institute.
Were you friends before you moved in together?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Quick study. This is your complaint, Mr. Boyer, that this idiot decided to play a little prank on you and sprayed your room with urine, destroying your mattress and your computer. Now, Mr. Figlewitz says it was just a little urine, and it could not possibly have destroyed your mattress because he just got it on the edge of the comforter.
Yep. Yes, Judge Judith.
And that it certainly did not go on the computer. In addition, on the same day, he assaulted you, and you were injured. You have photographs to show me.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition to that, after you, because immediately after this you moved out, you never got your security deposit back. Now, the defendant says he never assaulted you, and you didn't get your security deposit back because you didn't come and clean up the apartment, right?
Yes, that's true, and also he didn't pay all his bills either.
I don't have a counterclaim. Okay. When did you move in?
August 2004.
And when was this incident with the urine?
Late February.
Tell me what happened.
It's kind of a funny story. I came home from work one night, and they were out partying, and there was probably like 4 or 5 people over. And it was a common occurrence at the house. There was always a lot of people over. And at that time, I was working and going to school, so it wasn't my main point of interest to be partying all the time. And I had just become fed up with it after a while. So I was staying at my girlfriend's house, Asia, for the last 3 months because of not only the pranks that were going on, plus the partying. So I decided I'm going to get out of here. I don't want to deal with this tonight. So I take a couple of DVDs over to Asia's house, and we're going to go watch them. I come back because I forgot the ones that we meant to watch, and find the defendant, Mr. Figlewitz, in my room coming out with a spray bottle and laughing.
I was there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, we're like, what are you doing in my room? That's inappropriate in the first place. And he just laughs and runs outside. And we're like, where are you going? What are you running outside? So we go outside, and he's obviously drunk at this point. So I begin to ask him what he was doing. Ultimately, I get him to admit that he was spraying urine in my room out of a spray bottle. And
Just a second.
Yes.
How did it get in the spray bottle?
You use your imagination.
I don't want to use my imagination.
I
want
went
you
in the
to tell
bathroom and filled it up.
how much of the spray bottle.
Maybe.
Show me how big the spray bottle was.
It was like this big. I maybe filled up that much.
And then did you put some water in it?
No.
So it was straight urine.
Yeah.
See, the reason I don't like to use my imagination is if you do something stupid, I like 10 million people to hear that you've done something stupid. That's my joy in life. When did this idea foment in your brain that I'm going to go into the bathroom and instead of urinating in the toilet, like most people do, I'm going to go to the bathroom and get a spray bottle, whatever was in the spray bottle, I'm going to dump out. And then I'm going to fill this up, and I want to know, when during the course of the evening did that idea foment in your brain?
It was pretty spontaneous.
It was spontaneous because you had had enough to drink to make it spontaneous?
No.
Were you annoyed at Mr. Boyer?
A little bit, but
Okay, so you were a little annoyed.
yeah.
What were you annoyed about, sir? You're never going to know where I'm going, so don't try to figure it out, sir. You think I'm going to zig, and I guarantee you I'm going to go the other way. So just try telling me the truth. You'll be a much happier person and much less embarrassed.
I mean, there was pranks on both parts. Like, I found a can of tuna, raw tuna, underneath my mattress between my box spring.
When was that?
A few days before.
Had you done that?
No.
How did you know it was him?
Because I had my other roommate and he told me it was, so.
Maybe it was your other roommate trying to get off the hook.
Could be, but
Could be,
I doubt
right?
it.
Okay. Why else were you mad at him?
I felt unappreciated because I paid for everything. I furnished the whole place and spent like $5,000 on all new stuff, and he would always comment that my furniture was tacky or whatever, or my paintings were.
So first, he did a prank, you thought, on you, but really you were annoyed with him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't appreciate you enough. I appreciate you. Let me see pictures. I didn't hear about the assault yet.
After I basically caught him red-handed, we went outside and we were having an argument, and some of my friends were, or his friends, were intervening to make sure nothing physical started to happen. Obviously, I wasn't going to try to do anything. That's not my character. So he comes around and kicks me. We were standing on stairs, mind you, or he was standing 2 stairs above me, kicks me, and I stumbled down, knocked my hand on a beer bottle. It broke and shattered in my arm.
That's untrue.
And I also have a police report.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
So you got some scratches on your arms, no stitches, is that right?
No stitches.
Okay.
I wasn't able to go to work the next day. I wait tables, or I did wait tables at the time, so it's obviously inappropriate to have open wounds.
Miss Asia, step up, please. I want you to tell me what you observed outside.
Okay. Chris went out of the house after we approached him about the situation. We were upset about it because that's disgusting. I sleep there too. I was standing right there on top of the stairs. Ted was on the stairs as well. His friends started getting between the two of them. Then finally something was said, and Chris kicked Ted, and then Ted went down the stairs.
Where did he kick him?
He kicked him, probably hit him about your waist or hip.
Oh, in the stomach.
With his foot?
With his foot,
yeah.
Because that's where he could reach him. Ted flew forward and then hit his arm on the wall where the beer bottle was.
Go ahead.
That's not how it really happened. I ran out, I went in the bathroom, and then I walked outside, and then she was, saying, like, Ted's twice my size, he's going to kick my excuse me. Then he was angry, and he came at me, and in defending myself, I pushed him away with my foot, and he scraped his arm on the stucco wall.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I didn't have any glass in it or anything. I guess he knocked over a beer bottle, but there was no glass in his arm or anything like that.
I heard the whole thing, too, Your Honor.
Well, I'd like you to stand up and tell me your name.
I'm Katie Carlson, and I was in the room when he sprayed the urine.
What were you doing in the room?
Laughing.
Well, that's stupid.
I know, it was stupid.
How drunk were you?
I wasn't drunk at all. And Chris had probably had like 2 beers. He wasn't drunk either.
You mean he did this act of stupidity sober?
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Don't fall over your tongue, you look stupid. You don't want to look stupid, do you?
No.
You see, because I made him look stupid. Her a little bit.
And later today,
where did you get this guitar?
My father had given me the guitar. He passed away 5 months later.
She contacted you, and you told her it's in storage, you can have it back, no problem. So you were lying.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Boyer says former roommate Chris Figlewitz vandalized his bedroom.
Go ahead.
So I was in the room and...
I'm just interested in what happened outside.
Okay. When Ted walked in, I had been in the room with Chris and I walked out.
Listen to me very carefully, my dear.
Okay.
Get out to the stairs.
So I heard Ted and Asia both just really violently harassing Chris. They were both saying that Ted's twice your size, he's gonna kick your... And Chris was just totally like, you know, I'm sorry, I admit it, I'm sorry. And Ted came up the stairs at Chris. Chris put his foot out, defended him. Sorry.
Just a second, stop. Were you outside or did you hear this?
I did not see the fight.
So don't tell me what you saw if you didn't see anything.
I heard them yelling and harassing him, and I heard Chris admitting fault, apologizing, and he was making such below-the-belt comments.
Just listen to me.
Right.
Did you see anything?
No.
Then you may sit down.
Okay.
What? You know, sometimes some of these cases that we do, it makes me not want to buy government bonds. What happened to your computer?
Well, after the whole occurrence...
What happened to your computer?
It didn't work.
Had it worked before?
Yes.
Untrue. That's untrue.
You've got a lot of things that are untrue.
We only had one computer hooked up to the internet because his didn't work, and he used my roommate's computer all the time because his computer never worked.
Does that sound right?
I didn't have
Don't
have
play.
internet on my computer.
Okay, but the computer
But the
itself...
computer itself didn't work.
Do you have a bill to fix the computer?
Yeah, well, I threw that computer away simply because the urine stench was on it. It was disgusting. And I bought a new computer. I don't expect to get the full amount for my new computer. I just want to be compensated for, what the old computer was worth.
Well, what was it worth?
I was waiting for you to judge on that.
I don't even know how to turn on a computer. I have no idea of what your old computer cost. I have no idea of what its value was. And you don't come into court asking the judge to figure out what that is. You have some sort of proof for me to look at.
Yes,
Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing Mr. Figlewitz for $5,000.
Yes.
Okay, how much was your deposit?
$733.
All right, so that you're going to get back from him because he had a good reason to move out because Mr. Figlewitz and his friends, including this young lady, were idiots, okay?
The check was never made to me.
I don't care. It's your fault that he finally left. Then he's going to pay you $1,000 for the fall and the scraped arm because even though you didn't have glass in your arm, it's something that you don't have to tolerate. And I absolutely believe, Miss Asia over here, that your friends were in between the two of you. You were both hot, and that while the friends were in between the two of you, you kicked him and caused him to fall. And you cannot, sir, do that. The mattress. Did you buy a new mattress?
Yes.
How much did you spend on it?
$500.
You have a bill?
No, I don't. I have different prices in mattresses, and I didn't buy a new one. I
flipped it over.
Well, no, I averaged all the prices out of new mattresses that I needed. I threw the old one away.
Listen to me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me very carefully. Don't fall over your tongue. You look stupid. You don't want to look stupid, do you?
No.
You see, because I made him look stupid. Her a little bit. The only one who's coming out of this thing whole is Asia. I'd hold on to her if I were you. But don't lie to me. I don't like it.
Okay.
You threw away the mattress, and first you say you bought a new one, then you say you didn't buy one, but you averaged out the costs. Who are you living with now?
Asia.
Asia, do you have an apartment?
Yes, I do.
Have a one-bedroom apartment?
2-bedroom.
2 bedrooms. Who else lives there?
My girlfriend.
So you split the rent?
Yes, we do.
How many ways?
3.
1, 2, 3. And he shares your room?
Yes.
And you sleep on the floor?
No.
You sleep on a?
Bed.
Which has a?
Mattress.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,733. You have a mattress, Mr. Boyer. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just escalated into this, and that was about it. That was enough.
He's a liar.
We've told this story one too many times, and it was easy to win this case.
I just got fed up with him.
I'll probably just live on my own from now on. Just keep clear of the roommate situation.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stewart versus Marriott. Step forward.
19-year-old Kelsey Stewart is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old Joshua Marriott, for the cost of a bass guitar. Kelsey says Joshua sold it without her permission.
Ms. Stewart, according to what I read in your complaint, you and the defendant were an item some time ago, and while you were together, you loaned him a precious guitar.
Yes.
That had been given to you. You'll explain to me why it's so sentimental. You gave it to Mr. Marriott to use, according to him, in his band. And then you broke up. According to him, this was a gift. He had no use for it after a period of time. And then it was sold. Not by him, but by his mother. Where did you get this guitar?
My father had given me the guitar for a Christmas present before he passed away in 2001.
So it was sentimental for you?
Yes, it was very.
And when did your father pass away?
He passed away 5 months later.
Kelsey Stewart claims ex-boyfriend Joshua Marriott sold her bass guitar without permission. Kelsey says the guitar was a gift from her late father.
Why did he give you a guitar?
He, for some reason, decided that I was going to play bass guitar, so he finally just bought one for me.
Did you learn?
No, he passed away before I could get lessons.
How come you gave it to him?
Lack of judgment. I shouldn't have.
Tell me when you gave it to him.
The following year.
When in 2002?
May.
Summer, fall, winter, or spring?
Spring.
And when did you break up with him?
We had broken up before then, actually.
Well, then, why transfer this sentimental guitar to
to someone with whom you no longer had a relationship?
We were still friends at the time, and we were still on good terms. Like I said, better lack of judgment.
Well, tell me about when you turned it over to him. I want to hear.
He was at his house. I drove with my current boyfriend to drop it off.
Why would you do that?
He asked if he could loan the guitar. We had actually discussed it before when we were dating, and so it came up as, remember when you said I could borrow the guitar? And he said that he needed it to go on tour with his band, and I said that I would loan it to him until I needed it back.
When did you think you were going to need it back?
I wasn't sure.
Did you ask to borrow the guitar for the group to go on tour?
Yes, I did. And the band didn't end up going on tour. And after that, I just put it in my garage, and it just sat there. And I didn't hear from her for at least 2 years.
That's not true.
Well, when was the next time you contacted him about your guitar?
I was unable to get a hold of him for about a few months, and then before I left, I found him online again.
Well, just a second. You drove it over to his house, you said. Did he move?
Yes, he did.
No forwarding address?
He would not take my phone calls, and so the only way I was able to contact him was online. And I contacted him, and I said I was moving to San Diego, and I was going to need the guitar back to take with me. He said it was in storage and that it would be fine and it would be returned, no questions asked.
When was this?
September of 2003.
Did you have it in storage?
Yes, I did.
Could you stand up? You don't need anything to hold on to, right? When she contacted you and you said it was in storage, you were telling her the truth.
No, actually, I wasn't.
Well, was it in storage or wasn't it in storage?
It was in storage, and then my mother sold it.
So this wasn't a couple of years later. This was a year later, September of 2003, when she contacted you and you told her it was in storage, you can have it back, no problem. So you were lying.
I actually contacted her, which is the funny thing, because I found her on a site called MySpace. And if I would have known that she would have attacked me on the internet for this guitar.
Your Honor, that was 2 years later.
When she contacted you and said, I'm moving to San Diego.
She told me that she was in San Diego when she contacted me. I was also looking for her, too.
Why were you looking for her?
So I could give it back to her before my mom was going to sell it.
Did your mother have permission to sell it?
Yes, she did.
She had your permission to sell it?
Yes, because it...
How big is this bass guitar?
Like this.
Where were you living, and where was your mother living?
I was living in Campbell with my grandparents, and my mother was living in Gilroy.
Why couldn't you take the guitar with you?
Because I kept on moving around to myself, and I wasn't going to carry someone else's belongings with me.
Oh. Did you have any clue that this was a gift from her father?
No, I did not.
Is that right?
No, he would have known. It was a very sentimental thing, and I would have told him.
Yeah, I assume you would have told him.
If it was so sentimental, why would you let me borrow it?
Like I said, it was
well, that's a good question. You want to know why? Because sometimes people in affairs of the heart behave irrationally. I tell you this for sure, Mr. Marriott, I wouldn't have loaned you the guitar. What kind of a guitar was it?
It was an Ibanez bass guitar.
And how much will it cost you to replace it?
$300.
You have any papers to prove that?
Yes, I do.
Let me see. Is this a picture of the guitar?
Yeah, but it was red.
It was not red.
Yes, it was.
Wasn't quite interested in the color, but that's what it looks like.
Yes.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. Goodbye, good luck, have a happy life. This one doesn't have any sentimental value, but at least you have it. Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Hi. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ nấu món mướp xào với nấm và giá. Đây. Thì nguyên liệu thì có mướp, giá và nấm. Đây. Đó. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu vào công đoạn nấu nha mọi người. Mình sẽ thử một cái tỏi nha. Rồi, các chị con thử tỏi. Nắm này thì mình đã xếp tại cỡ đây rồi. Này thì mình sẽ cho gia vị vào nha. Mình cho một cái bột này vào. Ít thịt trứng nữa nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ tạo đường đây. Bây giờ mình sẽ xào cho cái nấm mình nó chín trước, rồi mình sẽ cho gió vào. Tại vì gió nó rất là nhanh chín. Nên là mình chỉ cần nấm nó chín là mình sẽ cho gió vào luôn. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ cho gió vào luôn nha mọi người. Bây giờ mình sẽ trộn qua một vòng, mình sẽ tắt lửa luôn. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ tắt lửa luôn nha. Mình chỉ cần chọn cho cái gió mình nó xìu xìu xuống là được. Rồi mình sẽ tắt lửa luôn. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ cho ra dĩa luôn nha. Hello. Mình đã hoàn thành xong món mướp nấm giá xào chung với nhau, rất là thơm luôn mọi người. Món này thì có thể dùng chay, mẹ đều được hết.